question for you. Do you sell, your work has a pretty decent price point. Like you're,
it's all right.
Most of your work is what, in the $5,000 to $20,000 range, give or take?
Yeah, more. It can be more. Let's not be fancy.
Do you,
middle range $15,000. There you
go. Okay, yeah. So that's a very specific customer. Yeah, but it's a specific customer who's buying that work. Do you look at, and I'm sure just because you have a zillion followers, you have a big fan base, do you ever do prints or do you do other things to capture different segments of the market? Do you go and you're trying to capture a digital section of the market? Do you do like lower type things that like people who might be your fans but can't afford your work? Is there like a starting place for stuff, or do you not care about that segment?
It's not that I don't care. It's just boring for me to do that, but I've done it to try, but I don't put any much effort into it. So it doesn't do well. Like I never do it. I never really sprint. I don't really care for it, to be quite frank with you. So I only
okay.
But sometimes I love to give some people like free stuff and whatever. I always have like goodies. Every time you go to my studio, you always come back with something. But I'm going to be pushing more. To be honest with you, I'm working on that, pushing more like products, a lot of fashion. I want to do more fashion. I want to do more like I started a new page called I want to customize things. It's an answer to go where I want to be in the future when it comes to that, but I definitely want to get there. But so far, no, everything I made is by selling painting and installation so far.
So that brings me perfect segue. So you've done like a bunch of large installations, and I've seen you do restaurants and like other big things. How do you find them? Do they find you? Is it a combination of both? What is your how do you get into doing like some of these installs? Are the things you apply for? Like how do you go about it?
They come to me. They come to me.
They come to you.
They come to me. The thing is, what I do is unique when it comes to the installation. There's not many other artists that do three-dimensional artwork on walls. And
just so the viewers and the listeners understand, you do like big street art murals where you build like physical, like you build like an extension similar to the way your work extends in a 3D fashion. Your physical work extends from the walls to like almost as if it's coming out of the walls, right?
Yeah, it's butterfly coming out of the wall, flying around. Like it just gives more life to it, energy and character. Yeah, so let's say that out of 10 artists, if they're looking for an installation, a mural, let's say, they have 9 that are like a design flat on the surface, and they have one guy that do 3D shit. So if they're into that, like it'll be easier for them to watch for me. It's not like you have a guy that do a 3D flower and another guy that do 3D cars and 3D. It's just the guy that do the 3D butterfly. But anyway, yeah, so far. Yeah. I know there's already a couple guys that try to do what I do the same way I do, one in Colombia and one in Greece. But I guess it's a compliment.
They say imitation is the best form of flattery.
There you go.
The people come to you to do these installations, and do you usually negotiate the terms of the installation, or do you have someone else do it?
Both. Either it's the gallery, either it's my agent, or either it's me. You know, usually, yeah, it depends. Like a lot of it is custom, and a lot of it's a long conversation with the owner of places and things like this, because so most of business, hotels, things like this that I did, it was direct with me, because like it's a whole like conversation with them. They have a concept, they expect something. It's not easy to convince a business owner to do what I do, even if they come to me, because of the price. It's expensive, because of permits, because of liability, because of there's many components that comes in places. So it's a long conversation back and forth that a gallery in the middle, like they'd be like, fuck, ask the artist directly, you know. But so with gallery, it's more like with clients directly, I do in their home, and that's easy conversation. They want that, how much, okay, and they deal with it, yeah. But I try to be respectful to the gallery I work with. You can't, as an artist, like galleries are your partners. Like, it's important to acknowledge that. You can't use the gallery, sell your artwork, and then you on the side selling like for 50% less. It doesn't work that way. So even when I have a client that comes directly with me, first question, where you come from? Okay, let's say LA. How did you hear about me? Oh, I was driving by Art Angel. I saw you painting in the gallery. Okay, cool. Here's the contact of the gallery. You can ask them anything, and I make sure they take good care of you. Things like this. I saw you on Instagram. I've been following you. I love your work, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. What do you want? And then we create a conversation, but they're going to get the same pricing that a gallery. So it's, I'm not going to lie, they might get 10%, but gallery does the same shit. But you got to be straight with your numbers, because if not, you'll work for a couple of years, but then nobody is going to want to work with you.
Now, when you have your galleries, are they segmented geographically? Like, how do you do it so there's not overlap? Because, like, I know you're represented by like half a dozen galleries. How do you go about determining which galleries to work with, and how do you keep the lines separate? This is your area. This is your area.
It's common sense. You're gonna have only one gallery in LA. I'm not gonna have two. I'm gonna have one. Like you say, I don't want them to. Yeah, you try to. It's in your advantage that your galleries are happy to work with you. Like, it's like I say, it's a partnership. You want to do everything you can to help your galleries sell your artwork, and they're gonna do everything to help facilitate selling your artwork. If you don't take this as a collaboration, I know a lot of artists, they hate galleries and they're against it, and they're very difficult with them. Like, they're difficult when it comes to custom work and blah, blah, blah. And they have the big ego and all that bullshit. And fine. But I believe that if anyone's going to sell your artwork, you need to give them the respect and do everything you can to help them out.
Yeah, it's interesting because I through this podcast, I talk to like different types of artists, different levels of artists. I talk to artists because a lot of them, there's a whole generation of artists now that just that lives through social channels and just owns their customer and drives their business and doesn't need the notoriety of the gallery and gets enough traction from social channels where they 80, 90, 100% of their work that way.
Yeah, but let me
then there's other people who are,
No, I want to say on that. Yeah, you're right. I know people that will sell everything on their own. They will control their market. They will control their clientele. I think it's a big, giant mistake. And I think it's when you have your ego that's too big and you think you can do everything on your own and you're better than everybody else. Because to be honest with you, a gallery is a professional. They sell art. That's what they do. They do it well. They have clients. They have a network. They have things like that. You got to respect them, because if you take them away from the market, it's going to be great for the artist, but artists they're the worst at selling their art. We should never sell our own art. It's a job. It's a work. You have to be a pro. So let everybody be pro at what they do. You know what I mean? It's a good thing if a gallery sell your artwork. And quite frankly, those artists that sell on their own, they don't have access to same clientele than a gallery has. They think they have, but they don't. The big collector, they buy to their gallery. They have like a respectful engagement with the gallery. I know clients, they will buy art only by this gallery and only. Then they can ask to meet the artists and things like this. That's a different story. But I just feel like it's a mistake. That's my opinion. Sorry.
Now, in terms of, so you do a lot of the gallery. Do you depend on the gallery to do a lot of your marketing PR, or is that something you handle in-house, or do you work hand in hand? Like, how do you go about marketing yourself?
So that's the thing. Gallery do very minimum marketing now these days. They rely on the artist. It's the upside down of the social media. Most gallery, they build their own social media, but building up an artist, it's rare. Besides some gallery, like you look at Eden Gallery, for instance, they build up the marketing and social media on their artists. But there's a big reason behind this. They're like the biggest fucking pimp in the market. They buy out. Those artists have no freedom. They can go nowhere. Alec Monopoly can do shit. He's under contract. He's making that much money, and that's it. Maybe do things on the side. And it's his choice, and I respect that. Don't get me wrong. I think Alec Monopoly has a phenomenal career. And it doesn't have to be a test or whatever. But the guy is a hustler and doing a great career. But he decided a path to work with a gallery that say, listen, we're going to take care of you. We'll promote you. We'll market you. And that's how we'll do. And that's like old school, actually. That's how what gallery used to do 50 years ago. But
Yeah.
most of other gallery, they don't work like that. Most of the other gallery, they have like many different artists, and they rely on the artists to do their own promotion and things like this.
So we're getting close to the end. By the way, this has been utterly fascinating. Like your background, your history has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Through your career, I always try to ask people both sides of the coin. What do you think if you had to do it over again, what was your biggest mistake that you wish you could undo? And on the other side of that, what do you think was like the best decision you ever made, like the greatest achievement for kind of your art path? Do you have the best and the worst?
The best decision was to coming to the US. That was the best decision.
Go America.
Yep.
The mistake. By the way, you're the American dream, right? You were literally like the art version of the American dream.
Proud of that. That was the vision coming out. The mistake, I don't have, because for me, mistakes are learning experience. So if you don't have them, you don't learn, you're missing. No, I don't regret anything, to be honest with you.
By the way, I love that answer.
Thank you.
But you're right. It's all this creativity comes from failure. The majority of the best artwork I've ever made was me trying to make something else and screwing it up. And the thing I screwed up turned out to look better than the thing I was trying to make. So I'm a big believer in failing forward. What was I going to say? So I guess the next question is, what do you have planned next? Do you have any big shows coming up? Do you have any big exhibitions or a new series of work that you've been playing with? What's on the horizon?
My biggest focus is digital work right now.
Okay.
Burning stuff. And
now, are you doing the digital work yourself, or do you like have a third party that helps that you art direct, or do you like physically do all the actual digital work?
Both.
Okay.
I don't do the animation and all that stuff. But now, so everything that has to do with my NFT project, my PFP, the Punk Angels project, I hire like graphic designer that do animation, that specialize in that stuff, that I direct.
Okay.
And quite frankly, it's too much work to learn this shit. And it's not for me. And I don't want to. I'd rather collaborate with graphic designer and things like this. And why not? And then for the new stuff, I'm actually finding ways to create digital artwork, but with ways that I can be an actor in it and in building it and using tools that are more easy for me to use. So yeah, I'm involved in it enough.
What sort of tools?
To like work with guys that are like fucking amazing at doing animation, 3D stuff and whatever. Like for me, there's no rules. Right now I haven't hired anyone in particular to create animation on my future stuff.
Have you started playing with any of the AIs yet, or have you experimented with them at all? With AIs, like the artificial intelligence.
That stuff. No, because it all looks the same.
Like Dolly and...
Yeah, it's not my thing. For now.
Okay, just asking.
Not
Now
now.
when you're going to release this digital art, are you going to release it on via one of the curated kind of networks like the Nifties of the world, or are you going to just release it yourself because you have a big enough audience?
No, because I can't tell you who, but I can tell you it's huge. It will be too much of a small word to describe the company that we're talking about, and it'll be with them.
Okay, amazing. Fantastic. I wait with bated breath to see what comes of this.
Yeah, I'll be
just so all the people here. Good. I can't wait. What is the best way for people to find you? So
Instagram.
If someone listens to this and hears this, like, say again?
Yeah, just go on Instagram, Punk Me Tender.
Okay. So Punk Me Tender everywhere, the easiest place to find you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or find an email, whatever. When people, they want to know, they're fine.
Yeah, of course. I love it. I'm once again super excited to have had this chance to talk to you. Next time I'm in LA, I'm going to come knock on your door and check out the studio. I can't wait to see the digital art that's coming our way. And I've been following your career for a while. And now that I finally actually did the research and kind of know the whole history, it's like I'm that much more enthralled and intrigued by everything. I will be a fan for a long time in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Fantastic interview. And that's it. I'm glad you were ballsy enough to sell some art.
All right.
Beats plumbing.
All right. All right. You have a good day then.